you guys are saying, because the play-in chances have dwindled, spirits are a little bit down, but you know what? We're still Blazers all through and through, right?
That was a terrible performance by your Portland Trail Blazers. The play-in, maybe it's not mathematically eliminated, but emotionally, spiritually, they are eliminated from the play-in. If that's the kind of effort you're going to give in a must-win game with 9 to go, you're not making the play-in. No. A couple of things did not go their way. Other places in the NBA, Orlando beating Dallas today, I think was a bit of a gut punch. You're kind of counting on that one. That's a few games in this little run of the last week to 10 days where the opposition that Portland needs to gain ground on were winning games you didn't expect them to. And that sucks a little bit of the life out of your squad. I get that. Still, pretty disappointing effort. Portland wasn't in this game from the start. It wasn't as close as 128-107. Look at those shooting percentages. They put up a stat in the third or the fourth quarter, and I pointed to the TV like I'd never seen anything like that before because it said Sacramento was 29 of 34 from 2 in the game so far. That is outrageous.
And I mean, Blazers, throughout this game, they didn't lead at the end of a quarter at each one. The only time that they did was the third quarter when both teams scored 32 points. But, I mean, at that point, we're still looking at kind of a beaten horse that needed a little bit of a revival.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of things you can take away from this game tonight. Number one, the Kings didn't miss. Truly incredible getting into the nerd of it all. Their points per possession, they were in the 95th percentile tonight. Their effective field goal percentage was in the 99th percentile. It's basically one of the best shooting performances of the entire year.
Well, yeah, dude, you see 128, and then you see the percentage. You would have thought they would have scored $175, maybe 2.
Here's if you're looking for your high note, they didn't give up 162 points, Wizards.
We'll talk about that.
The Kings did not miss at the rim. They were 15 of 15 at the rim. They were 17 of 23 in the short mid-range, 6 of 9 from the long mid-range. They ended up going 23 of 32 in the mid-range. That, folks, if you're scoring at home, that's 71.9% from the mid-range on 32 attempts.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good, Bob. It didn't matter that they were okay from 3. They were 10 of 25. If I was the Kings, I wouldn't have shot a 3 because you basically didn't miss inside. And that, I think, is the thing you take away from this. And Joe, you alluded to all of the things beforehand in this game. And I think that's, look, the coaches will tell you, I'm not looking at standings. And I believe Chauncey, to an extent, is not looking at standings. But the players are. They know what's going on. They know where things stand.
Well, they're human. I mean, to be a part of something like this and have this be the motivation for the end of your season.
You're checking in.
Absolutely. That's part of the equation is how other teams are doing because you don't control your own destiny.
And in the last 36 hours, things just, they couldn't, well, they didn't have the Spurs didn't get a win, so that wasn't somebody else nipping on their heels, so to speak. But basically everything went wrong for them. So if we'll dive into it a little bit later. But I mean, outside of Denny, is there anybody you really want to talk about?
From a positive perspective?
Yeah, I mean, Ant had an okay game.
But it's one of those things that, like, looking at the box score doesn't really do this game justice because the game wasn't in doubt really early on. Like, in the first half, it was pretty clear that Portland was not going to come back in this game. It just had the vibe of that the whole night. And Sacramento, what a frustrating basketball team to watch. I can't imagine. God bless those fans because they were rowdy.
They said beam the light, man. They still got it.
The PA announcer, can we do this thing real quick? The Keegan and everyone going, Murray. Yeah. One of the coolest things I've ever seen.
No, they love Keegan down there, and Keegan has been absolutely on fire lately. He finished tonight 7-11, but he was 8 of 11 from 3 the other night, and Keegan has had a bit of a down year for them, and I think that's kind of been like the story for the Kings. Not just Keegan Murray, it's not all in Keegan. It's just Lamar Hurd said it on the broadcast. It's not a talent deficit that the Kings have. It's a vibes deficit. Whether it's firing Mike Brown, trading De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, and just kind of being meh all the time. LaVine's the kind of guy like can go for 29 on 18 shots and be incredibly effective, but he can also he hadn't scored over 20 points in the last 4 games, and he had 18 points in the first quarter.
You shouldn't forget Zach LaVine is on your team, and Zach LaVine is on your team, and that's what happens with him. But
Domantas Sabonis nearly had a 20-25 game.
It's a maddening squad to watch, and I can't imagine what it's like to cheer for because you watch him in a game like this tonight, and you can have a reaction of, how is this not one of the top 6 teams in the Western Conference? How is this one of the top 4 or 5 teams?
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit.
Well, I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but like, their talent doesn't fit. Like, Sabonis is a very unique player in that he's not the defensive stopper or the real switchable defender. So you kind of have to build around him, but you have Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, who are not. DeMar can kind of hold his own just because he's a truck, but Zach's not a great defender. Keon Ellis is on my short list for all defensive team, but he can't. He played 31 minutes tonight, but he hasn't been in that starting lineup because De'Aaron Fox is there. It's like,
isn't that part of the reason why De'Aaron doesn't want to be there? Because like,
it doesn't make sense.
And building around Sabonis, I think is something that's cool in theory, but what is really your ceiling if you build around Domantas Sabonis? I'm not saying he's not an excellent player, because he's an excellent player, but if he's the best player on your team, what does that mean for your team?
Well, you need like a Chet Holmgren or an Evan Mobley. Like, you need somebody else who's like Anthony Davis. Honestly, that's the kind of, like, when you talk about like Anthony Davis wanting to play alongside a 5, it's not going to help your spacing. But when you're talking about like, hey, a guy Domantas Sabonis wants to beat you to death. Like, he wants to be physical. Anthony Davis doesn't want to do that all the time. But you need to have like this all-world incredible defender who can also space the floor. So you're like your paths to team building.
It's pretty narrow.
Are very like, they are.
Who did you just describe?
Defensive player of the year, defensive player of the year candidate, and a guy who's probably going to win defensive player of the year or be on the short list for his career. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you like Victor Wembanyama, sure, like one of the super freaks of the NBA in order to really maximize that, or you have to be kind of Celtics-ish and have a bunch of like 6'8" wings that can do a lot of stuff to cover up for that. And if you look at this Kings team, they've got DeMar DeRozan, and Keegan's a plus defender, not the best defender in the world, but he's tasked with taking on, the top perimeter scorer more often than not. Well, with the exception of Keon Ellis moving into the starting lineup.
They got Malik Monk too, as well.
Yeah, again, Malik's not a defender either. It's like, but Malik can score in bunches. I mean, you look up and down the Kings roster tonight. There's at one point tonight, Keon Ellis was the only Kings player to miss more than 3 shots. It ended up being Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray, who went 7 of 11, and Zach LaVine, who missed 5, who's 13 of 18. But I mean, the volume shooters, 9 of 11 from Sabonis, 6 of 10 from DeMar, Keegan Murray 7 of 11, Malik Monk 6 of 9. I mean, they shot 65% from the field.
It was one of those games, dude.
I mean, I honestly think it, and I know what Chauncey Billups said in the post game, and I agree that with the Kings punched them in the mouth. I think you had a young team that over the past couple of weeks was fighting for something, and they saw what happened over the last 24 hours, whatever it may be, and it settled in on them. Somebody went like, I wonder what the math is. And if you're wondering, the math is literally less than 1% chance of probability of making the playoffs now.
But that was before the Kings game. If they beat the Kings, then that percentage, what was it? It was going to double, right?
Yeah, but even before the game, it was 2%, 2.5%. It was.
I don't like it. I'm with Tyree. I think it's pretty flimsy. If this is the one to give an effort on, like this is the game.
Oh, I'm not excusing it.
I'm not saying you are.
I think the young guys saw it and probably were.
I understand, but not
disenfranchised a little bit.
Sure, and again, that's a normal reaction. They're young guys, but like not literally everything went wrong. Phoenix lost to Boston last night, so that went in their favor. And again, and if Portland wins this game tonight, there is a real opportunity to do something. Now I know the games are dwindling, but this was the one to actually put your flag in the ground and say, let's give the effort. And that's disappointing that it's not there, because we haven't seen this team not give a full-bore effort in a long time, Tyree. I'm having trouble thinking about the last time this team looked like this. And Chauncey alluded to it, where he's like, some of our stuff starts to show up. And a lot of the stuff started to show up, and not in a good way.
Young guy stuff, right? Type of little young guys, and I mean,
what's kind of crazy though, you look at the Blazers tonight. They didn't turn the ball over. They had another game with less than 12 turnovers. Right. You had 10 turnovers tonight.
53s. Why are they shooting so many threes, Marang?
I don't know.
What is going on there?
Because that
started against Boston, right?
Yeah,
it's been this whole week.
And at one point in time, they had taken 22 threes to 11 or 12 twos. I can't remember what the tweet I had out was, but it was almost a 2-1. And I'm like, and again, they weren't bad looks, but this isn't a 53-point-a-game team. This is a 38-a-game 3 team. You know what I mean? Like, they're a rim frequency team, and the Blazers tonight, we pull that back up. Their rim frequency tonight
Well, and the Kings aren't world beaters on defense. It's a bottom 10 defense.
The Blazers, only 20% of their shots came at the rim. That's even less than it was last game. They took 24%. Like, this is not for perspective's sake, the Blazers tonight, 51% of their shots came from three. That was in the 95th percentile this year. So you're talking about across the NBA, over the course of a season, I think it's 1,860 games that are played.
You know I hate math.
No, I'm just saying. So
1,860, huh?
I believe that's the total.
Yeah, that's exactly why I hate
across
it.
the NBA.
Sure.
And it means if you get to the end of this year and this holds true, only 5% of those 1,860 had games where a single team took more than 51% of their shots from three. Like, that's when you put the perspective in that. This is a significant outlier game for them. And look, it's one thing if they're hitting them all. If it's one of those nights where nobody can miss,
it wasn't that.
Yeah, and it wasn't that. And like, it wasn't. Screw it. It was effort. Like that's all it really came down to.
It really was.
Like it just. It didn't look like they were not in it totally, but I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Well, it is difficult to describe because when you see Denny doing his thing, and when you see two go to the floor down 23 in the third quarter, as if collecting this loose ball will make the difference in the entirety of the season. Like, when you see those plays occur, you're like, okay, the effort is there. And, like, God bless Wap, because he did turn it around in the second half, but he was getting torched down low in the first half. And, again, all credit to him because he put it to Sabonis. He even threw him down one time and it wasn't called. I'd love to see that. And the fight was in him. And that's what was so cool about that was, in a game where it was a little bit out of reach, there was still the fight and fire. So it was there in spurts, but it was definitely not sustained over 48 minutes. And as a result, again, Portland was never in this game tonight.
No. And I mean, that's fine. But when you're looking at the game, you look at the box score, but you try to find something good out of it. I want to go to something that Scoot said last game about Matisse Thybulle. I think it was Sean Hyken. I think he asked, what has Matisse brought? What exactly has he brought since he's been able to be back in this lineup? And Scoot said energy and a type of focus. And down the stretch, Matisse was still getting steals. He had, 3 steals tonight?
Yeah, he had back-to-back possessions that led to runouts, and one of them was and he ended up missed the first layup. Shaden tried to get the putback, got pushed underneath, and got the fouls or the free throws. And the next possession, same thing again. And he took it from DeMar, and I think he took it from Levine. Like, he didn't take it from the kids. He took it from, the seedy vets that you don't usually assume are going to get their pocket picked. And
effort, man.
It's just tease. He's missed so much time this year that he's not going to. I think he's one of those guys where he's going to realize I was out for basically a year. I'm not going to take this for granted. I'm not going to take this for granted.
Because his season ends in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah,
that's fair. But
let me get my run when I can.
Didn't he looked good? I mean, if we want to talk about something positive, Matisse, ever since he's gotten back, I feel like there's been a different dynamic to the team defensively, and just you kind of see him in a different light. Because me seeing Matisse, this is really one of the first few times I get to actually see him from a personal standpoint, get to see him play. And from me coming from Florida all the way here, I knew Matisse from the bubble. He had those blogs where he was blogging and kind of showing us what the life is inside that bubble.
Director tease.
Exactly. You see kind of that fun, goofy side of him, but to see him in this element, so focused, matured, and kind of helping these young guys come along and still putting in effort when it was 3 minutes left and they were down still 18. That's a great sign for this team.
It is, and it's disheartening to see that this is. I mean, it's not the season's over, but this is the quote unquote the way they went out. But the reality is that this is the way they went out. You kind of wanted to see them go out on their shield. Hey, have it ripped away from them in a way that they can't protect against or preclude against, and that wasn't the case. They unfortunately folded, and that's just the reality. But if you're talking about the math side of this, they're actually significantly more likely to get the 8th best lottery odds going forward. So, and had the Spurs done the unthinkable and beat the Cavs today, it would have been a spicy meatball.
The scoreboard watching is just getting started, folks.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
But you know what is also getting started? A little bit Dick Hanna Subaru. They're so nice over there. They're giving us something, aren't they, Joe?
It's a lot of love month.
It's a whole lot of love.
Oh, my God. A Dick Hanna Subaru.
You gotta set me up, man.
Right now, get a special 2.9% APR for 72 months on a new Subaru Outback, plus Every new Subaru comes with a lifetime powertrain warranty. It's the perfect time to check out a new Subaru at Dick Hanna Subaru. Believe in nice.
It's a whole
All right,
lot of love.
there you go. It's time for a deep dive. It's Trembier. Just do it.
All right, let's
Just do it.
Trembier. This Lakers bull end was insane, folks. 12.6 seconds left. Lakers are up 5. You're looking at this. This is insane. Let's just go ahead and watch the clip, all right?
I mean, if you're the Lakers here, up
Quick three.
5 with 12.6 seconds, you're
Okay.
like, okay, even now,
No problem.
You're like, okay, what
I'm
can
LeBron James. It's
what
going to
can
be a
we-
good pass. Whoops.
Well, the point is he was still down.
Lazy. Kobe White.
Wet. Bulls by 1, 7
lose
seconds to go.
your
Uh-oh.
mind.
And you start liking, all right, LeBron.
You get the timeout. Well, I mean, you've got multiple options here. They run a great set here to get a little duck in action.
what a coach.
The entire
Austin.
defense lifts, and there's
No
nobody
timeouts.
home.
No timeouts.
And you got to go fast.
No
I
timeouts.
love they had already prepared this, just hook and ladder.
the win.
Let's
Watch
see what
everybody.
happens.
Straight
Good
cash.
gracious.
Wow.
Straight cash. And the Bulls have now beaten the Lakers twice in the past week. You love to see it.
Wow.
That was insane. of an
9
ending.
points in 12.6 seconds.
It's pretty good.
Dude,
Reggie Miller's over there like, I can do that.
you remember that T-Mac game?
I mean, there's been a couple of those insane sequences.
Dame had one of those against Chicago.
Yes, he did. JJ Redick in the postgame press conference. I wish somebody would have just lined up clipboards on his press conference table for he could just snap them over and over again. I think he said it was like there's 4 or 5 things that we did wrong in 12 seconds. He's like, which is pretty impressive. So, to manage to fall apart. That inbounds pass from LeBron was bonkers.
Yeah. I
He
know.
just rolled it in. I don't.
The lack of concentration in that kind of moment from LeBron James is shocking to see.
Well, I mean,
It's
and
so
maybe it
weird.
was part of the plan. Maybe it was J.J. Redick's plan to give it to Reeves. You think?
Oh no, the Reeves play was 100%. Like I think they wanted to inbound.
Yeah,
to
You're talking about the
Reeves.
steal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
LeBron just
the
passed
inbound.
it to nobody
He
in
didn't,
general.
he didn't
Oh, that was
pass
just
it. He let it go
Kind
with
of,
one hand.
here you go, Josh Giddey.
I don't. It was such a weird play, and the tweet that we just had up with the longest game winner in Bulls history is a 46.5 footer. It's like it's kind of surprising considering the Bulls history, but then you think the Bulls history really is only a
minute.
6-year period.
How many game winners are coming from behind half court for okay, out of every team in the NBA, how many teams have a longer game winner than that? 10? 5?
I was just thinking about the Bulls and how many game-winning iconic moments.
I
I was just, no.
It's a sheer numbers game.
Yeah, no, that's,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. I was
Sure.
I was a little surprised by that.
How
Like,
long
just
was
the-
Dame's against OKC? How
The
long
Paul
was it?
George one, 37 feet.
37?
Yeah, but he also has a couple.
Standard protocol.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we're talking about game winners.
Dame also had his first against Cleveland was a half quarter, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
I thought it was. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he walked across the line.
I don't think it was over half court, was it?
I think he.
Was Dave's first game winner over half court?
He
Use
stepped
the
over.
hashtag
No, he stepped over.
RC wrap up and let us know.
I have one in my head of Dame.
Doing a half quarter.
Yeah, he's got a lot of them.
He's got
So-
a lot to pick from. What do we think about the Lakers? Can we talk about the Lakers for a second? Because this team stunk tonight. So how about we talk about the
No,
Lakers?
this is I'm going full Denny Green. You want to crown them? Crown them. They are who we thought they were. They don't play defense. And the whole idea of JJ's going to coach them up. And this is my whole deal. Look, coaching on the margins matters when you get to the NBA Finals, when you get to the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. Outside of that stuff, the whole you're going to get the most out of your guys stuff, you got to have the horses. And they don't have the horses. There's nobody on that team that is capable of playing high-level defense in high-leverage situations, night in, night out, come April.
I just think you could tell me one of 8 teams are facing Oklahoma City in the Western Conference Finals, and I would not be surprised. I think the West is that wide open for that position against OKC in the Western Conference Finals, and it comes down to matchups in the first and second round. I think that is so much
You're
of
saying
it.
the Lakers could make the finals, and you wouldn't be surprised.
I would not be surprised that the Lakers made the Western Conference
Yeah,
Finals.
yeah.
I would not be surprised.
No, the
I would be
finals.
surprised
Yeah.
if they made the finals.
Well, that's on the back of their offense and Luka and LeBron. But even
Right.
even then, I just don't. I don't trust them defensively. I just don't. And
Because, but look who you have here. Okay. You've got OKC number 1, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but Houston and Denver. Like, I understand that Houston plays a style of basketball
I trust
that
them
is
the
more,
least of any of the top 16.
Houston,
that's what
you
I'm
do.
getting to.
Yeah.
And they're the 2 seed right now.
But they are also a very good defense. Their problem
Of
is
course.
their offense is non-existent.
Who's going to score for them?
Yeah,
Van Fleet going to score 40 a game?
Jalen Green,
Probably
like,
not.
Well, speaking about scoring, that's why I kind of see what Rob Pelinka was doing. So heavy offensively, it's almost like shoot,
look,
you get the Minnesota Vikings offense.
The third best player in the league fall in their lap, not for nothing, but for nothing, and you just don't look that gift horse in the mouth and you take it. Like that's just what you do,
Sure.
and it becomes a gap year. And I mean, when you have new LeBron in the garage and old LeBron's over there, you go, you know what? We don't really need to cater to you anymore, LeBron. So deal with it. And this becomes a gap year.
Well, this is when Jordan came back in '95, right? Everyone's like, "Oh my God, the Bulls are going to win the finals." It's like, no, Michael Jordan is a human being, and he's been playing baseball and drinking on the golf course. Like he's not just going to come in and win 4 series, and he didn't.
No.
But the next year he did, and the year after that, and the year after that. And I think that the Lakers are in prime position to do something. I would be surprised if this is the year, Tyree. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if they won a couple series because they got Luka Doncic and LeBron James.
Yeah, when it comes to playoff
It's
time,
an advantage.
I feel like that's good enough
it's
to an extent in today's NBA.
if you get the right matchup, if a team can't take advantage and exploit the matchups that are there because like the lack of bigs. Look, Luka Doncic is the best in the world at making a big who's barely a rotation big good, and then takes good bigs and makes them excellent. There's only so many smoke and mirror tricks you can do with Jackson Hayes. He's a great lob finisher, great above the rim finisher. He's a poor rebounder. He's a poor defender. He's not a great rim protector. He can be a shot blocker, but not a rim protector. And I know LeBron James went whole 2 weeks cryo chamber. He's going to go playoff mode, dark mode, whatever it is he talks about going into every year, goes into the playoffs, and then he somehow tweets 3 days later because nobody should ever believe what he says about that stuff. But beyond that, I don't trust them outside of the offensive creation stuff. And don't get me wrong, Luka, LeBron, and Reeves, it's a pretty formidable group of offensive players.
That's a great 1, 2, 3.
It is.
It is great.
It is. But they're so bad defensively, and their front court is so shorthanded that you just look around, it's like, you get caught in the mix of this, and it's like, yeah, zero, you go, 0 dark 30.
Is this real?
Oh, yeah.
He does.
He does
What
this
a cornball.
He does this he does it every year.
All right.
Some version of this. And it's like, all right, dude, come on.
Well, you know what? I didn't know if I was going to bring this up or not, but since we're already here,
what we got?
You want to talk about LeBron?
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Stephen A. Folks, let me give you a little overview of what's been happening in NBA sports media. Stephen A. has been going on what LeBron would like to call a Taylor Swift tour, to where he's been going on different podcasts talking about that interaction that they've had, and then recently LeBron James went on the Pat McAfee show and just an hour of unfiltered LeBron talking from the time when he was
emptied the clip. That's what he did. He emptied the clip.
There we go. He legit did. Talked all from the Nike deal and with Jordan to all the way to today with Stephen A. and how he felt. And folks, it's been a whirlwind right now. Stephen A. even went on First Take this morning just explaining about, this is a lie, and, basically trying to defend himself against all the comments LeBron James made.
Not only did he do that, he said an outright falsehood. He stated that I didn't mention at Kobe's memorial that you weren't there. And in fact, LeBron James was there. He was just in the back so as to not distract from the memorial service. And Stephen A. had to retract that statement. It's like, I misspoke. It's like, no, dude, you lied. That's what you did.
So,
that's
crazy, right?
Well, then he had Kendrick Perkins. All his feathers got all ruffled up because LeBron James unfollowed him on Twitter a while back, and Kendrick Perkins puffed his chest out and did he unfollowed me, so you know what I did? I blocked him on my phone. And it was like, LeBron's not calling you, dude. And the one that was a little bit surprising is LeBron kind of took a shot at Brian Windhorst, who obviously went to the same high school, from the same area, covered LeBron's rise in Cleveland, at St. Mary's, and then at Cleveland, then followed him in Miami with ESPN. But that was about Windhorst saying something about the Nike deal, and LeBron basically saying that Michael Jordan had, Brian Windhorst said that Michael Jordan had something to do with LeBron going to Nike, which LeBron said, hey, had nothing to do with. But it's weird. LeBron James wore number 23 just because the number 23 was a cool number.
Guys, this is all professional wrestling. I literally don't buy any of this.
Oh, this is LeBron setting up the retirement tour. That's what this is.
This is everybody benefits from this. Kendrick, Stephen A.
Well, I don't think Kendrick benefits from anything.
His name is being said in places, and he's still relevant somehow.
All publicity is good publicity.
I was about to
that's
say,
a big one for him.
I don't know if that one's true.
Dude, that guy is getting paid a lot by ESPN still. A lot.
That's fair.
And I don't know why.
What?
I literally don't know why. But he is. And I do think that there are some probably legitimate hurt feelings, but I do think that this is also just professional wrestling. This is these guys going at each other in very public forums and doing it to continue to have the attention cycle go on. LeBron can't help himself. Stephen A can't help himself. I think that Stephen A has crossed some lines. LeBron said a bunch of stuff that I don't think he would normally say, but I think at the end of the day, these guys are fine with this whole performative circus theater that they're performing right now, and I don't think that there's actually any harm that's being done. I just think it's a weird sideshow. What harm is being done?
I'm gonna go with
Go
harm,
ahead.
but I disagree with it being entirely performative.
Okay.
I think LeBron's bleep around and find out scale has been peaked.
Sure.
I think it started when Stephen A did talk about Bronny in a way that LeBron felt protective of, when you can argue whether that's fair or not. But then Stephen A was, Danny threw the quote up on the screen, Stephen A talking about, I would have swung on him if he had said something or done something to me. I'm like, no, you wouldn't have, dude. You're 50-something years
That's
old.
what I mean.
Like,
none of this is real.
Now, for Stephen A, I think it's very performative. For Kendrick, his skin is as thin as, the what are the little roll-up papers?
How about
that you
this
get
wet napkin?
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
He does. He has to.
I was laughing what Danny was trying to come up with there.
I was trying to be nice.
Little, what do we get?
A little roll
thing
papers?
right there. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, this is my point. I brought this up because I feel like Joe said that this is all performative.
I don't think it's all performative, though. I think LeBron has reached the point of his career where I very much believe next year is going to be the retirement tour, and this is the kickoff of it. Of like,
what misery is that going to be?
Screw you, you're cool, screw you, I'm out. And because LeBron has been the good soldier.
He's been a company man.
22
no question.
years.
No question.
And now he's going, this is the precursor to the book. And here's who was lying to you about me the whole time. Here's who was saying this. It wasn't that. It was Pat Riley got caught up in that deal that he did with McAfee too, where LeBron basically confirmed the whole Pat Riley took his cookies on the plane, and that was the beginning of the end. Dwayne Wade's the one who, there you go, perfect. You're cool, absolutely.
Well, I like that LeBron had something to say.
Well, that was the thing. It was not. I mean, it was scripted in the sense of he knew what he was going to go on there and say.
Of course, he is one of the most scripted human beings we have on the planet.
But I think you got honest scripted. As opposed to, let me put this through I think the first instance of the honest scripted stuff we got was when LeBron was talking about the state of the game about a month ago, when he talked about how we talk about the game and how the game.
The Ant Edwards stuff.
Yeah, that part of it.
Kind of that.
Yeah, that
around
ilk.
that. Yeah.
You see this perked right here. First time that Richard, Channing Frye, and whoever he's adding right there.
Alex Lifton.
Oh, there we go. Okay, myself had a real fallout today on the Road Tripping Pod about this whole LeBron Stephen A drama. I thought this was going to be the end of us. Listen,
Richard Jefferson. Well, here's the thing, and this went a step further. I mean, let's dive into the whole political drama of it all. Kendrick Perkins said something really stupid, shockingly, where he basically went full. I'll be blunt. He went race baiting and race card. And intimated that LeBron James has Steve Nash on his new podcast replacing J.J. Redick because he's white. And Richard Jefferson quote tweeted it basically like, dummy, LeBron's been on the road because he mentioned that why didn't you have Richard Jefferson do it or Channing Frye do it? He's like, LeBron has been on my pod 1,000 times. Like, So, yeah, LeBron James apparently bringing on a former MVP and one of the smartest basketball minds in the history of the game is terrible because Steve Nash is white. Go figure.
This opened up. What I think this done, I do think this has done a little bit of damage in the way that now sports media and everybody is going to be held a little more accountable because now that they saw LeBron just be like, whatever, I feel like it's kind of opened the floodgates. So y'all remember that time I was talking about Darius Garland and how he did that to that kid? Yeah, that's part of it. I need to stand that up if ever it was talked about. I think now, because some other sports analysts kind of tweeted about it and made a video saying, sports analysts, we need to take a stance and take credit and accountability when we say these things. And that's true.
Don't say out-of-pocket stuff for clicks. I mean, it's not that hard. Look, I know I'm prone to hyperbole and having some fun, but I'm not going to make something up. I'm not going to outright lie about a guy and say he wasn't at somebody's funeral or accuse somebody of...
That's crossing the line.
Or,
that is crossing the line.
Accusing somebody of some sort of inherent racism because he didn't have a black co-host, but instead brought on one of the smartest basketball players to ever play the game to be a co-host with him.
Or talk about passed away people in order to prove a point.
Yeah, it's like...
I didn't know Kobe was going to be part of that.
When you talk about like this not being anything more than performative, I think it is because, I mean, Perkins there even said like the whole like, look, I imagine that what was happened in that podcast and when they sat down in the room after Perkins said what he said, I bet you knowing RJ, he had some words for him.
Well, I do think that this is something that tends to escalate.
Yeah.
Right? Because when someone
comes...
comes...
There's some stuff bubbling up behind the scenes.
Of course. What I mean? But when you have these situations where, the Bronny Stephen A thing was sort of the inciting incident.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's what sort of kicked off
that's the
whole...
little domino to the big domino.
Exactly. Yeah. Of all of this stuff. And I do I stand by what I said. I do think all of it, if not most of it, is performative. I think this is all a thing that we do.
I agree with it. Just
to get clicks. I understand that some of this stuff maybe is not, and Perk has some hurt feelings. It said something really stupid, obviously, that is very insensitive to LeBron and potentially reputation damaging. So like when you get to that level of stuff, it is
which leads you to believe there's some more subtext to that stuff otherwise.
But at the end of the day, consider the source and how many people are watching Kendrick Perkins and being like, that is the authority on LeBron James and basketball.
Not a single person.
I would hope not, but Stephen A still gets incredible ratings. Like he's 56, he's been doing this on ESPN for decades now. And he is, if not one of the most powerful voices on still the most powerful sports television network. Like that is the role that he plays. He's out there 7 hours a day. So the other point is he's going to say some dumb stuff every so often, but he is so measured that specific Kobe comment is clearly out of pocket. Yeah. I do think otherwise, I mean, I know, look, LeBron is probably the best player ever. I know a lot about LeBron, man. I just know so much about the guy. Like, have some air of mystery. I know you don't like that, but my God, like,
you know what?
Take a breath. The retirement tour is going to be so tedious, dude.
I don't know what's
we've been on it for about 3 years now.
We won't talk about it.
Well, no. I don't know what's going to be worse. His retirement tour or Derek Jeter's. I don't know which one's going to be more obnoxious.
LeBron's will be worse because social media is heightened to a degree that it wasn't. Didn't you retire like 10 years ago now? Has it been that long?
And we still use that stupid GIF of the
I know what you're talking about.
The cap?
The little kid.
Yeah, we got to retire that one.
Yeah. That's never going to get retired. You know what? Tonight was performative. I think the Blazers were kidding. I think they I'm pretty sure they were kidding. Yeah. Tonight was performative. Yeah. Chauncey B said, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of a show. Shake and bake, it's a lie, and this didn't happen. Performative, right? Right.
I mean... It wasn't a good performance. Yeah, it was bad. Guys, we're gonna do something. Can we go ahead and bring up the Western Conference standings? Do we have those available?
I mean, yeah.
We have to do something. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and retire officially the Western Conference standings. We no longer need to show these graphics on this television show. They're no longer relevant.
Time to salute.
The Blazers are 4 out of the 10 seed, unofficially 5 games because they don't have the tie break with only 8 to go. Beautiful, Danny.
Yeah, little taps.
That was actually quite good. That was quite good. And we moved on to capture the flag.
Hey!
Had the homonyms like we had church. It was great.
Can you
I'm
sing some
loving it.
ABBA now, Danny, to get us fired up?
No.
Okay.
Church says amen.
So here we are.
Look, top 6, skip that.
Hey.
This group, though.
Wait a minute. Up to 9?
Ladies and
looks
gentlemen, there is a virtual tie between the Portland Trailblazers and San Antonio Spurs. I'll give you the little reggaeton horns.
That was hard.
That's good. So
You've been doing this really well, Danny. You're great at, mouth sounds and stuff.
There you go.
he is good at mouth sounds, bro.
I had no idea what else to
I
call it.
love that.
You know what I wanted to do when I was a kid? I wanted to voice cartoons.
Did you?
Yeah.
Now that's something I think
This
the
is how
audience would
bad
like
the
to
Blazers
know.
played tonight. Danny wants to voice cartoons. We now know that. We still have 20 minutes left of the show.
Hi, kids.
What do y'all want to talk about?
I mean, I want to go back to those standings. Let's pull those up real quick because there really isn't a scenario where Portland can do. No,
Those were tired.
Not those standings.
The ones we want now.
Capture
There you
the
go,
flag.
yeah.
That was honestly, I actually got sad seeing those standings again.
Yeah, well,
Not gonna
that's
lie.
the last time we're ever going to see him in this show.
That's why they retired.
Just for the season. So, okay, there's 8 games left. Clearly, there's a logjam between 8 and 12. Certainly, San Antonio and Miami. I mean, those are all percentage point differences right there.
And you know what matters
Toronto's
more
not
here,
going to
Joe?
happen. Tell me, Dan.
The loss column.
Now, wouldn't it be the win column?
Kidding.
So, 4.5% chance of getting the first overall pick if you land at the 9 spot. But what we're not showing you there is that is a over 17% chance of getting a top 4 pick in the draft. And if they were to
20.3.
20.3?
20.3 at number 9. At number 8, it's 26.3.
Oh, you know what Tankathon has done?
It's split it up.
They split it up.
Yep.
Those goofballs.
Yep.
If you want to follow the tank proceedings of the Portland Trail Blazers or really any of your terrible franchises that you follow across the Big Four in the WNBA as well, just go on Tankathon and you're going to get some good information there. So there she is. So this is our Bible right now,
Let me
Rip
make
City.
this look nicer.
Yeah, this is what we have now, Rip
Well,
City.
I just did my one click of freedom. New Orleans won the lottery. Washington 2, San Antonio 3, Portland 4.
I'm doing mine. Portland got number 2 in mine.
Yeah.
All right,
Hey.
folks. Well, since we're already here,
Do
we're
it.
having
Let's
fun.
do it.
Let's
Number
just go
one.
ahead. Let's
One
just go
click of
ahead.
truth.
Yeah. Well.
All right, didn't move up at all. Number 9 pick.
Oh, so this sounds like reality.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what we should do?
Once a show.
Our producer just told us to do it again.
He's in charge.
Yeah, that's
All right.
Get it.
I'm sure.
There.
I broke the scoreboard.
He broke. Come back on camera.
You should see how substantial this is up here. That thing's not coming down.
No, look at
Guys.
that. It's just there.
The
Guys,
rafters.
Coop is coming to
There you
Portland,
go.
folks.
You should have saved that one. That's the one.
Well,
we
Coop
needed.
was amazing tonight.
I'm not pressing reset.
Yeah,
Or-
well, no.
All right,
Just
Marang.
leave it
All right,
there.
Marang.
Yeah.
How many players do we have left in the NCAA tournament besides Cooper Flag that are of interest? Any?
So
Is he it?
John L. Davis from
Well,
Arkansas. I know they just
No,
lost,
no,
but-
no. Let me stick to the other side of the bracket. Obviously, well, Coop, Con Knipple, and Common Malach are all on Duke. So Auburn, you've got Janai Broom, but he's a late first, early second. Danny Wolf from Michigan, probably going to be a late first.
Okay.
Michigan State, you're talking about Jason Richardson's son. He's made a pretty significant bump. Just keep that up.
Well,
there.
in that scenario, we'd draft Cooper Flag.
yes,
probably,
it
right?
wouldn't matter.
Okay.
Vlad Golden is a good one from Michigan as well. 7'3".
Yeah, Florida's got a couple of guys, but you're not anybody you're really looking at. That's the thing is like these teams that are left, the lottery guys outside of Duke are pretty limited.
They're done.
Yeah, so I mean you've got 3 lottery guys at Duke. trying to think off the top of my head, Kentucky, Tennessee doesn't have anybody in the lottery. Texas Tech, JT Toppin's a late first, or probably early second, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, Jace Richardson at Michigan State. That's who you're looking at left as far as lottery players. So, and they play Ole Miss. So yeah, with BYU going out, Yegor Demon was a lottery player that was there. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're right. It got pretty small pretty quick.
Well, in terms of Portland, for them, whoever in that top 10 range of draft picks, it feels like Portland's still going to get a solid guy, whether it's Cooper Flag or not.
Well, I mean, the difference is that Cooper Flagg is. For those that did not see Duke tonight, Duke and Arizona played a pretty darn good game. Duke ended up winning by 7, 193. Cooper Flagg had a line that nobody else in NCAA basketball tournament history has done. He finished with 30 points, 6 boards, 7 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal. Like, that's maniacal. This is a freshman. He is on the path to do what only one other player in college basketball history has done, and that's Anthony Davis, and that is be a number 1 overall pick, a national player, the Naismith National Player of the Year, and a national champion.
Okay, well we got 3 categories, right? We got Cooper Flagg.
So
we got the projects, and then who is in here?
So well, the way I do my big board and my mock, they're a little bit different. But like when I talk about big board, it's just a straight ranking 1 through 60 of the top 60 prospects, and I do them by tiers. Cooper Flagg is tier 1 or tier 0, like generational superstar talent. The next tier for me is Dylan Harper at Rutgers. He is in a tier by himself for me. So if you want to call him tier 1, the tier 2 players, VJ Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, Kasparas Yakshianos from Illinois.
Kasparas Yakshianos.
And then
I'm not going to try.
Trey Johnson from Texas. I'm tinkering with. Derek Queen had a nice run. I'm a little bit worried about his defense. That was the Maryland player that hit the game winner that people wanted to call a travel. It wasn't.
So we got about a half dozen.
Yeah, I mean, then you can talk about a guy like Colin Knippel. You can maybe you like what you saw out of LeBaron Philon from Alabama. Maybe you like what you've seen or what you saw out of Jeremiah Fears in the tournament. He's actually the only player in college basketball younger than Cooper Flagg. He was another reclass, but he's a 6'4" point guard. But it kind of drops into eye of the beholder from 7 through 12, and there's a group of players in there that are Asa Newell from Georgia is a guy that's in there, the big. It's going to be a pretty interesting group to kind of work with. Jace Richardson is in that group, but it all kind of depends on what you want to do. But yeah, as far as the biggest names remaining, it's Duke, and you're talking about beyond Cooper Flagg, Colin Knippel, and Kama Malic, the 7'2" big man.
Can I ask you, put yourself, Danny has so much knowledge, I'm going to exploit it for a great second, all right? Put yourself Portland GM. Danny Marang.
Oh, no.
Portland Trail Blazers GM.
What's gone wrong with the Portland Trail Blazers? Oh, no.
What has gone right is what you're asking.
No, things have gone very wrong.
Very right.
A nuclear bomb has dropped somewhere.
So I'm curious.
You're in the line of succession. Danny's 38th for Portland general manager.
Joe Cronin has to call out for a little bit, and he calls Danny Marang up to fill the position for just a little bit. What are some guys that you are looking at that would help Portland, that would fit Portland's culture, that would fit their scheme, that's not Cooper Flagg?
I mean, obviously, you're talking about guys like Dylan Harper. Like again, the wing players, I think the one that you want because that's what you build teams on. But if you're not sure that Scoot Henderson is going to be that guy for you going forward, maybe you want somebody who's a better shooter, maybe a little bit more. Even better feel as a creator, which I think Kasparas is.
That's tough, man. I mean, if you make that move. And if you let's say you move into the top 4, top 5, and you draft a point guard, that is
it's tough
to bring Scoot back from.
No, it is. It really is. But if you think at that point in time, the only player in this draft or on this team, I don't think you draft over in essence is Denny. And if Cooper Flagg is there, you take Cooper Flagg and you don't look back. But beyond that, I don't think there's anybody on this team that you don't draft over in that sense. Let's just say that the Blazers are picking 4th, and Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper are gone. What gets interesting is at pick 3. Is it VJ Edgecombe? Because I love VJ Edgecombe. For those that don't know, if you remember Victor Oladipo, it's a very common player comp for him. He was at Nike Hoop Summit last year, played for the Bahamian national team with DeAndre Ayton this summer. Remember last year when people were talking about Scoot Henderson as being like a Russell Westbrook, Derrick Rose explosive level athlete, that's actually what VJ Edgecombe is. VJ Edgecombe is the most explosive athlete in college basketball. He is a freak of freaks. Remember, he dunked on Mark Few's kid, sent him into the shadow realm to start the season. The thing I love about Edgecombe is he will find ways to be productive, even if his shot's not falling, and that had to matter for him to start the season because his shot was a little off. But then you're adding another 6'3" guard, so that's where it gets a little dicey. The flip side of that is if you're picking at 4 and Edgecombe goes 3, Ace Bailey is staring you in the face, and he's a 6'10" wing who can do a lot of things. I'm not certain about his feel. And as I've gotten older and the longer I've done this and the more film I've watched on guys, as much as my default setting is you can't coach size and elite level skills, I am leaning more and more and more as I get older on feel and basketball IQ, because you can develop it, but boy, is it hard. It's one of those things.
It's instinct. How do you teach instinct?
I've talked to probably a dozen skills coaches, trainers types, and a lot of them like, there's no way to quantify it, man. And it's either you got it or you don't. You can hone it, but to take it from, it's not a seedling. It's not like you can break down a jump shot, or you can get better with your handle, or you can get better as a finisher. But like the ability to have like the passing vision behind you, like just the knowing that if I go this way, I know the defender's going to take this step over, and that's going to open a passing window here. It's a quarterback that knows how to manipulate a pocket. You either do or you don't. You can get better in the pocket, but the idea that like a non-pocket quarterback is all of a sudden going to figure it out, it's just not there. And in the NBA, like if you're going to take a swing, Ace Bailey is the player that you take it on, because he's 6'10" with a ratchet. I mean, he is the best tough shot maker in college basketball, and he's 6'10", but he doesn't get to the rim. He doesn't create. The flip side of it is Rutgers was terrible, and it was him and Dylan Harper, and the situation and context has to matter, so you give him a little bit of grace in that. After that, though, then it becomes Trey Johnson. Yeah, he can shoot it, but is that the guy you want kind of being the focal point of your offense? And over the next month, the draft lottery is May 12th, so next 6 weeks.
Set your calendars.
That's the make or break day. I'm still debating whether or not I want to go to Chicago and either experience the joy or the complete heartbreak of what happens that day.
Well, it's going to be, no matter what you do, you're going to be bummed, right? Because if they get flag and you go, like, that's going to be amazing. And if they get flag and you're not here, that's going to be so like there's no good choice.
Well, I could go to Chicago and they could not get anything good.
That's true.
And that's the worst outcome.
So right now Portland has the 9th best odds at the #1 pick, and ironically, it is time for number 9 and our top 25 Blazers of the 21st century. We're talking about 6'9"-ish power forwards, can knock down a difficult jumper, maybe underappreciated in their time. How about Zebo?
The greatest of the big butts.
There he is.
Couldn't jump.
Randolph,
Couldn't jump over a paper towel. Didn't matter.
I
Why?
mean,
Look at that.
Moves for days, baby.
Lefty, just moving people out of the way.
Zach averaged 20 his third year here. He won Most Improved Player.
He's 20 and 10 guy.
20.
I mean, just you want to talk about like again feel. Zach Randolph again couldn't jump over a roll of toilet paper. Didn't matter because he knew where the ball was coming off the rim. He was a rebounding monster. Insane touch. Had every post move, shimmy, step back, fade, footwork stuff. Like the reason I love Dylan Harper in this draft, Dylan Harper is the son of Ron Harper, and so he has the NBA feed to him of like understanding footwork.
Yeah, the pedigree.
Zach Randolph understood the minutia of the game, and so many players that come in the league now don't understand minutia. Zach wasn't out here hezzy, snap back, tween. Zach had 4 moves, but he had a counter for each one of them. And you get you leaning, and he put that big body on you.
Right, you talk about high IQ.
Yeah.
There's your guy right there. And he was one of these guys, and there was multiple Blazers in this era who you saw flourishes of it here, and certainly Zach excelled here. He averaged 23 and 10 his last season in Portland, but he really landed when he got to those grit and grind Grizzlies, found his, I'll say his true home.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That was his squad. I think
Tony
people,
Allen, Mike Conley, Pau or Marcus Gasol. That's a.
I mean, for your generation, Tyree, he's a Grizzly, right?
I was gonna say when you think about Zach Randolph, when I got here, I was educated about his Blazers history, but prior to that, you think of him with Memphis the entire time. That's what I thought about Zebo with Memphis, and
Look,
they still talk about him when you go there.
Zebo being like up in the Ring of Honor and retiring as a Grizzly, like
it all makes sense.
That's your squad, brother. I got no beef with him. He was good here, and look, he had to go because the 5-time All-NBA guy was behind him in LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
Like that was the reason he went. Like again, 2001 to 2007, LaMarcus had the heart issue his rookie year, and after that they're like, hey,
actually,
this guy,
that one,
yeah, real nice. Also longer and more athletic. We're gonna go down that path. but it was the rare, like, good for both. The Blazers made space for LaMarcus. Zach goes to Memphis and gets into a great landing spot. But no, Zebo was a great player. I mean, it's unfortunate that he gets here the year after things start to go sideways.
Truly.
Because you throw a guy that talented on that run and gun team, it might have been another guy to have in that period. But I mean,
he
Zach could get his, man.
He really does buttress the end of that run of the 90s teams, early 2000, before you get to the BA, LA. Like, he's in that time with Bonzi, and those guys had excellent numbers, and they were excellent Portland Trailblazers. But it was a weird time in the franchise's history, and I do think that they are beloved, especially for our generation, Dan, because that was when it's like your favorite bands are the ones that you liked in high school. Like, your favorite Blazers team is going to be the one that was the one that you grew up with. And for a lot of millennials, this is the era that you grew up with the Blazers on. So you remember Sheed, Bonzi, Zach very fondly, whereas a generation or two above us probably doesn't.
I like the name they gave him in the chat. Zach, bullies get bullied where I'm from, Randall.
Yeah, that's
fair.
I can't remember. It might have been on the Up and Smoke podcast.
Yeah.
I think he mentioned that. Yeah, he, like Zach was no pushover. He was a legit tough guy. He was which is why the persona with the Grizzlies fits so well. Like they were gonna fight you.
It was hand in glove.
Yeah, and it's like. And
perfect.
Honestly, you love to see those kind of fits for organizations, to be honest. And look, Zach was a great player. I never had any beef with what he was, who he was.
No way. He's very popular again.
And I loved watching him play because, again, I'm number one footwork, post work guy. He had that in spades, and my man had a big old butt.
Knew how to use it.
Knew how to use it.
Butt in the gut.
Knew how to use every inch of that body leaning on people, and it was like that kind of game, that kind of feel is just, I love that stuff.
My producer, I got to take him out my ear. He's talking nonsense, folks. He's also a Golden State Warriors fan, so never listen to him. It's time that we look ahead, folks, because this is our generation of Blazers right now. This team is trying to be post-Dame, trying to still get that identity. And, well, next season's going to be big for them doing that. But before next season, New York is on the schedule. Sunday at 3 p.m. Boy, do we love the early tips.
It's good stuff.
My God, do I love a little just great Sunday afternoon game.
Trying to tell you, episode 75, Rip City Wrap-Up right here on the KUMP Rip City TV network. That is going to be a good game. Folks, well, now as I think about it, it's going to be you lose on purpose type of game? Do you try?
I mean, I shouldn't say you never lose on purpose. John Butler, point guard, notwithstanding. I think
no, because you have Denny and Tumani Kamara on this team.
And look, and here's
you have guys who don't know how to shut it down.
Not only that, I mentioned this on the radio today when somebody else texted into the show. You can't shut two down either. Two's going for an all-defensive team. It's pretty hard to shut him down, and if you shut everybody else down around him, then it starts to kind of get pushed to the wayside a little bit. So I don't think that they're necessarily going to shut some guys down, but I think you might see some minutes go down for some guys.
Well, again, if you look at what we showed earlier with the Tankathon, like going 0-8 versus like 3-5, like I don't know if there's much difference there. Like you get a couple of these, Danny, you can't follow the 7. I'm saying if San Antonio and those teams keep pace, you have to keep pace with those.
You need San Antonio to.
I understand.
Honestly,
8 is big.
If you're talking about a game that some shenanigans may occur, it's the Spurs game. When they get back from this 5-game road trip.
That's going to be fun. That is next Sunday.
I should say the Bulls, which is the last game of the road trip, and then come home against the Spurs.
There's going to be some shenanigans.
I think those two games, because
officials from the NBA will be watching closely.
Well, you can't out shenanigans the Raptors.
Oh my God, we can't finish the show without talking about the Pacers. The Indiana Pacers scored 162 points tonight,
pull the number up for you?
Which is it is the most points scored in a game that did not go to overtime by a single team since 2008.
Go to Blazer Box.
2008, it was the Denver Nuggets against
the
Seattle Supersonics.
Look at that, 162.
The Denver Nuggets beat the Sonics, which was a Kevin Durant team, 168-116. That's a throttling.
It's a lot of points.
I didn't expect to see that.
What's really interesting in here, and it shouldn't really be surprising, is that the Nuggets were on the wrong side of these a lot, and also on the right side of these a lot, because the Nuggets scored a lot of points in the late '80s and early '90s.
Alex English.
The Bullets beat the Nuggets 161-133.
Oh man.
Phoenix beat the Nuggets 173-143.
We used to be a country. What are we doing? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the Blazers lost to the Nuggets 162-143. The Pistons beat the Celtics 160-117. Good gravy.
And that was before the three-point line.
The Lakers in '72 beat the Warriors 162-99.
Oh, now that's disgusting. See, those Nuggets games.
No, wait a minute. We promised the rest of the shows are not going to be us reading lists. It's going to be a lot more fun than that.
I just read through a couple there because that were just like I'd seen the top score, but I hadn't seen looked at the opponent's score.
How wild they are.
There were some whoopings, and there's a lot of these games 3-point attempts not on there.
That's the Denver Nuggets that Timmy Turner was talking about, right? 100%. Remember when he said we're going to ship them off to Denver with the that's what he's talking about. Folks, thanks for joining us, man. It's been a tough game to watch, but I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Episode 75 is coming right to you on Sunday after the Knicks, and hopefully the Blazers get that win over the Knicks, maybe.
Little afternoon delight.
All right, I like that. We'll see you guys on Sunday, folks.
Love you all so much.